The hall of the Galactic Council was huge. Its walls shimmered with lights from 100 stars. Every species had gathered, aliens with wings, with shells, with fur, with smooth silver skin. They sat in rows, eyes fixed on the tall podium at the front. At the center stood the high speaker of the council, a creature with a long golden neck and voice like chimes in the wind. Everyone was waiting. Only one topic was on the table today: Earth. After years of debate, protests, and warnings, the council was finally ready to vote, a vote that would change everything, a vote to remove Earth from the Galactic Union, forever. Earth was young compared to other species, too fast, too bold, too emotional, and worst of all, too smart. In just a few centuries, humans had built machines, expanded to the stars, and created technologies no one else could fully understand. Many on the council feared them. Some hated them. A few admired them in secret. But now there would be no more secrets. Each council member had one vote: ban Earth, or let it stay. On the large screen floating above, Earth was shown in real time. Blue oceans, green lands, white clouds. It looked calm, peaceful, but the council believed otherwise. They are dangerous, one alien leader had said in a past meeting. Their emotions burn too hot. Their history is filled with war. They saved more lives in the last galactic crisis than any other species, another had replied. They act without asking. They take risks that could destroy everyone. The debates had lasted years, and now the vote had come. One by one, the votes were cast. Some were expected, some were surprising, but the final count would not be known until the end. Ambassador Shira from Thalax, a species known for wisdom and patience, sat quietly in her seat. Her green eyes watched the screen closely. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. Her assistant leaned over. Should we contact the human delegation? Shira shook her head. They've already left the chamber. They said they would not wait to be judged. That was the first strange thing. Normally species stayed for the vote, even if it meant being humiliated. But not the humans. They had walked out an hour ago. Calm, silent, all except one. General Aiden Frost, a human known for his sharp eyes and colder voice, had stopped at the door and turned back. He said only one thing: "We already know your answer. Now we're working on ours." Then he left. Those words now echoed in Shira's mind. Outside the council chamber, communication satellites showed normal activity. Human colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan still transmitted weak signals. Earth's orbital stations were quiet but stable. Their AI systems showed no sign of strange behavior. Everything looked calm. But Shira knew better. She had studied humans for years. She had visited Earth. She had eaten their food, danced in their cities, laughed with their children. And she had seen what others missed. Humans didn't wait to be hurt. They acted fast, decisively, emotionally, but never stupidly. Now she watched as the final vote approached. Only 20 votes remained, then 10, then 5. Suddenly, alarms began to beep on the side screens. Movement detected. Ships leaving Earth's orbit. A lot of ships. Too many. Report, said the high speaker. Over 5,000 human ships have left orbit. No communication, no warp trails detected. They simply vanished. Shira stood from her seat. Check Mars, Europa, Titan. The screens flickered. One by one, human colonies disappeared. Not in explosions, not in battles. They just went dark, lights out. Life signs vanished. No power, no heat, no response. Did they abandon their colonies? Someone asked. Impossible, another said. Where did the people go? A new message arrived. A short one. No source, no name. Just 3 words. You took too long. Panic filled the chamber. Some thought it was a threat. Others believed it was a warning. Shira stared at the message and whispered, "It's a fact. Ships from other species were sent to Earth immediately. Fast recon, eyes only. When they arrived, they found cities still standing, Empty cars, empty houses, empty streets, but no humans, not one. 12 billion people, gone. Where? No one knew. The Council tried to control the news, but word spread fast. Across the stars, allied planets asked questions. What happened to Earth? Was it attacked? Did it self-destruct? Did humans finally snap? The Council couldn't answer. Because they didn't. No, the final vote had not even been completed. Yet humanity had already left. No war, no speeches, no demands. Just gone. A secret emergency session was called. Shira and other leaders gathered in a smaller room. There, they tried to piece together the clues. They left on purpose, said one. Where did they go? Asked another. They must have had a backup plan. Shira nodded. They always have a backup plan, but this was more than a plan. This was a message. What message? That they don't need us. Silence followed. For centuries, the Council had believed itself to be the highest power in the galaxy. Its rules were law. Its votes were final. But now, for the first time, a species had chosen to leave before the judgment was even passed. It was unthinkable. It was terrifying. It was very human. Suddenly, the chamber lights dimmed. A voice spoke through the speakers. Calm, clear, human. This is not war. This is not goodbye. This is correction. The voice paused. You judged us too slow. You acted too late. We no longer wait for permission. We no longer explain our actions. We have seen the stars and we choose our own path. Then silence. All screens went black. Across the galaxy, human technology began to vanish. Code rewritten. Systems locked out. Artificial intelligence going offline. Everywhere that humans had helped build, transport systems, power grids, medicine, defense, began to fail. Not destroyed, just removed. As if Earth had erased itself from the galaxy. Shira returned to her homeworld that night. She stood under the stars and looked up. Somewhere, out there, 12 billion humans were building something new. Somewhere no one could follow. She didn't fear them. She feared what the galaxy would become without them. Behind her, her assistant asked, What do we tell the Council? She closed her eyes. Tell them we didn't banish Earth. We lost it. The Council chamber was quieter than ever before. After the disappearance of Earth and its people, many members sat frozen in disbelief. Others whispered in hushed tones, their voices filled with confusion and growing concern. The vote had not even ended, but the subject of the vote had already disappeared. Earth had left before the judgment could be passed. No one could explain how. No one knew where they had gone. Across dozens of systems, the same thing was happening. Colonies with once busy human settlements were found silent. Life support systems were still running. Buildings were untouched. Yet not a single human was present. Their cities looked like they had been paused in time. Ships from other civilizations flew over Earth's surface. Cameras captured haunting images of parks with still swinging swings, homes with dinner still warm on the table, schools with open books on desks. It felt like the humans had simply stood up and walked away, together. But how? That was the question echoing in every corner of the galaxy. Inside the Council's emergency response wing, top-ranking officials reviewed the footage again and again. They tracked the last known movements of every human fleet, every spaceport, every data signal, but they found nothing unusual, at least not until now. One AI specialist from the Uran species raised an alert. Hidden deep within Earth's older communication archives, buried under thousands of lines of outdated code, a hidden subroutine had been discovered. It was labeled in simple human language, in case of judgment. When activated, the code had quietly begun sending out commands to every human-controlled system in the galaxy. Ships, satellites, storage facilities, off-world bases, and long-range scanners all started a silent countdown. There had been no alerts, no visible warnings. Everything happened in the background, invisible to outside systems. And when the countdown ended, the humans vanished. An alien technician read aloud a recovered fragment of the protocol. "This is a peaceful exit. Do not follow. Do not search. We take nothing we did not build. We leave nothing behind that we were not given." Many in the room, that line was more unsettling than any threat. Shira, the Thalaxian ambassador, kept silent as she listened. She had been to Earth more than once. She remembered laughing with human children, debating politics with their scholars, and walking through their forests. She had also watched as other council members rolled their eyes at human passion and dismissed their warnings. Now, Earth was gone. But it wasn't just the people. The council soon noticed something worse. Across hundreds of sectors, vital technologies started failing. Transport gates slowed down, power grids flickered. Communication lines broke into static. Human-designed software, which powered nearly half of the council's infrastructure, began shutting down. Entire systems that had relied on human engineers and artificial minds were left in confusion. Ships that used human-made engines couldn't be repaired. Hospitals that ran on Earth-designed medical scanners found their tools going dark. Security drones refused to respond. The galaxy began to feel the weight of Earth's absence, not through war, through silence, a silence that spread like a shadow. Species that had once criticized Earth now held emergency meetings of their own. Some tried to reach out to the humans, sending messages to any known human channel. There was no reply. Others began to panic, demanding that the council take control of human systems. But there were no systems left to take. The humans had already removed themselves from the network piece by piece, line by line, until there was nothing left but memory. Council ships tried to follow the last warp signatures, but the trails went cold after a few jumps. No trace of direction, no signs of destination. It was as if Earth had folded itself into the stars and disappeared. Inside the data chamber, one alien engineer whispered, "They always warned us. They said they wouldn't wait to be pushed." Another voice responded, "We didn't push. We voted." Shira finally spoke. "Sometimes there is no difference." And just as she said it, another message arrived. No name, no source, no signal trail, just text. One simple sentence. "This is not an ending. This is a beginning without you." The council watched in silence, because deep down, they all understood something they never wanted to believe before. Earth had not been banished. Earth had outgrown them, and it had chosen to leave. ChatGPT said, "The galaxy was quiet, but not in peace." A strange emptiness had settled where Earth once stood, not just in space, but in the hearts of many species. The sudden disappearance of humanity left questions swirling like dark clouds. What had the humans become? Why had they vanished without a word? Many in the Galactic Council felt uneasy. Some feared the unknown. Others felt regret for how they had treated Earth. Ambassador Shira watched the stars from her chambers, her mind filled with memories of humans, so full of life, hope, and stubborn courage. They had been dismissed as reckless, as too emotional, but she knew better. Humans were survivors. They did not give up. They never did. Reports from across the galaxy began to come in. Humans were appearing, not in warships or weapons, but quietly, almost like ghosts, on distant worlds. They were not invading. They were not taking over. Instead, they moved carefully among alien communities, speaking softly, offering help and guidance. Some aliens welcomed them. Others watched with suspicion. Why were the humans here now? What was their purpose? A group of council members gathered, secretly in a dim room far from the main hall. They shared stories from their scouts. Humans had started to evacuate species who had once been friends. Small colonies were moved to safe locations, far from the watchful eyes of the council. The humans worked fast, quietly, and without fanfare. Shira listened to these reports, her mind racing. It was clear to her that humanity was not defeated. They were changing, growing stronger, preparing. The council was beginning to realize that the humans had not fled out of fear. They had left to rebuild, to grow in ways others could not yet understand. Back on the dark side of the galaxy, hidden in uncharted space. Humans gathered in secret. Their leaders spoke of the next step. They shared plans for a future where humans and their allies could live free, beyond the reach of old rules and fears. A human scientist spoke quietly in a council room. "We have learned much from the galaxy. Now it is time to teach in return." Their technology was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. They had developed ways to travel silently, to hide their ships and colonies from sensors. They could bend space without leaving traces. This was no ordinary evacuation. This was evolution. Meanwhile, the Council's attempts to find Earth's new home grew desperate. Ships searched every known system, every wormhole, every hidden corner, but all their efforts were met with silence. No signals, no signs, no clues. The galaxy waited, watching, uncertain. One night, Shira was called to a secret meeting. A small group of council members had gathered a captured human AI. It was a being of logic and memory, programmed to protect humanity's secrets. The AI spoke in a calm, steady voice. "We do not seek war. We do not wish to conquer. We seek only freedom to grow." The council members looked at each other. Could they trust this machine? Was this truly the voice of humanity now? The AI continued. "You cast your votes without understanding us. You judged us before knowing what we had become." Shira felt a chill. The AI was right. The council had made a decision based on fear, not understanding. Then the AI offered a warning, soft but clear. "If you continue to hunt us, you will lose more than just Earth. You will lose your future." Outside the meeting, the galaxy buzzed with rumors. Some species began to secretly support humans. They sent messages asking to join the new path humanity was creating. Others plotted to hold on to power, fearful of change. The stars themselves seemed to wait, for what no one yet knew. But one thing was certain. Humanity was no longer just a species. It was a force of change. And the galaxy would never be the same. The silence that hung over the galaxy was heavy, but it was no longer empty. It was full of tension, curiosity, and a quiet anticipation. Every corner of the Galactic Union buzzed with stories. Some whispered in fear, others told with hope, about what humanity had become since their disappearance. Many species had never seen anything like humans. Their rapid rise had shocked the galaxy, and now their sudden vanishing had left a deep mark on the cosmic map. Yet, instead of giving in to fear, some started to wonder. Had humans found a new way? A new future beyond the rigid rules of the Council? Ambassador Shira sat alone in her quarters on Thalax, staring at the holographic stars floating in the air. She thought of the humans she had met, their courage, their stubbornness, their willingness to fight for what they believed in. They had never accepted limits, not from their own kind, and certainly not from anyone else. News arrived that human ships were no longer hidden. They began to appear near unclaimed planets and systems outside Council control. But the humans came not with weapons but with help. They offered technology to heal dying worlds, medicine to cure strange diseases, and plans to build sustainable homes where no one had dared before. Some council members called these actions suspicious. They worried that humans were quietly building power for a future conflict. Others quietly supported the idea that maybe humans were simply teaching the galaxy a new way to live. In the midst of this, the Council's greatest minds gathered once more. They debated endlessly. Should they reach out to the humans? Should they try to bring them back into the fold? Or should they accept that humanity had chosen a different path, one the Council could not follow? Shira believed the answer was clear. The humans had made a choice, one of freedom and independence. To force them back would only cause more pain. But before any decision could be made, a strange event changed everything. A message appeared suddenly, not from Earth, but from a new human colony at the edge of known space. It was sent directly to the Council. The message was simple and direct. We invite you to witness the future. No threats, no demands, just an invitation. The Council was stunned. What future did the humans want to show? Was it a promise or a warning? Curiosity won, over fear. A delegation was formed to visit the human colony. As the delegation traveled through space, they noticed something new. The human ships no longer moved like the fast, aggressive explorers they once were. Instead, their designs were sleek, calm, almost peaceful. They moved with care, blending into the stars like gentle lights. When the delegation arrived, they found a world unlike any other. It was green and full of life. Forests stretched as far as the eyes could see. Rivers sparkled. Under twin suns, and animals roamed freely. But what surprised them most was the humans themselves. They looked the same, yet somehow different. Their faces were calm, their eyes filled with quiet strength. There was no anger or fear. Instead, they spoke of hope, of growth, of learning. From the galaxy and teaching in return, one human leader spoke to the delegation. "We did not leave to hide. We left to grow, to build a future without limits. We invite you to join us." The delegation returned to the council with heavy hearts. Some members felt hope, others felt fear. But everyone agreed on one thing. The galaxy was changing and humanity was leading the way. Shira smiled quietly to herself. She had known it all along. The future was not in votes or punishments. The future was in choice, and humanity had chosen its own path. The galaxy was shifting like never before. The message from the human colony had ignited new conversations, new alliances, and new fears. The Galactic Council, once so sure of its power, now faced a reality it could not control. Humans were no longer the distant, unruly species they had once dismissed. They were architects of a new future. Inside the council chambers, the debates grew louder. Some members insisted on sending fleets to demand that humans return under council law. Others argued that the humans' vision might be the key to survival in a galaxy growing more complex and unpredictable. Ambassador Shira watched the arguments with a quiet certainty. She knew that the old ways would not hold. The galaxy was too large, too diverse, and too full of secrets for one body to govern all. Humans had understood this better than anyone. Outside the council, humans and their new allies continued their work. They built starships powered by clean energy, creating colonies where nature and technology lived in balance. They developed tools to heal wounded planets and to protect endangered species. It was a future that seemed impossible just years before. But the path forward was not without challenges. Not everyone wanted change. Old powers, feeling threatened, began to stir. They saw humanity's rising influence as a threat to their own control. They spread rumors about human ambitions, painting them as dangerous rebels who would bring chaos to the galaxy. In response, humans remained silent, or they answered with actions rather than words. They continued to build, to teach, and to reach out to those who were willing to listen. Slowly, more species began to join them. These new alliances formed a network of worlds bound not by law or fear, but by shared dreams and respect. One of the human leaders spoke quietly during a gathering of allies. "Our strength is not in weapons or numbers. It is in our willingness to grow and to help others grow." This idea spread like wildfire. It became the foundation of a new movement, not a war for power, but a journey toward understanding and cooperation. At the same time, the council faced a crisis. The disappearance of human influence had caused many systems to falter. Economies stalled, communication broke down, and trust within the council began to crack. Some members feared collapse. In the face of this, Shira stepped forward. She proposed a new path, a council that included all voices, including those who had once been outsiders. It was a risky idea, but it promised hope. Her words echoed through the chambers. "If we want to survive, we must change. We must learn from those who dared to leave and find new ways to come together." The council reluctantly agreed to send a new delegation to the humans, not to demand, but to listen. As the delegation journeyed once more to the human colonies, the galaxy watched with bated breath. Would this be the start of a new era, or the final chapter in an old story? In the deep silence of space, a new hope was born. Humanity had shown the way. Now, it was time for the galaxy to follow. The journey to the human colonies felt different, this time. The delegation from the Galactic Council moved through space with a quiet sense of purpose and uncertainty. It was no longer a mission to judge or control, but one of discovery and hope. The stars stretched before them like a silent invitation to a future still unwritten. When they arrived, they found a world transformed. The human colonies had grown into thriving communities where technology and nature existed side by side in harmony. Cities were built around giant trees, and homes glowed softly with energy that came from the very ground beneath them. The air was clean, the waters pure, and the people greeted the council delegation not as enemies but as friends. The leader of the human council stepped forward. His eyes held a calm wisdom that spoke of struggle and growth. "Welcome," he said simply. "We have waited for this moment." The delegation listened as the humans shared their story, not of escape but of evolution. They explained how they had chosen to leave behind old systems that no longer served them, how they had learned to listen to the planets, to each other, and to the deeper truths of the universe. They spoke of a future built on respect, cooperation, and freedom. One member of the delegation, a young ambassador named Lyra, found herself moved by the humans' vision. She asked, "How do you balance your independence with the needs of the galaxy?" The human leader smiled. "By understanding that true freedom is not isolation, it is connection. We do not seek to rule, only to share and grow together." As the days passed, the delegation saw the beauty of this new way. They watched children from different species learning side by side, scientists collaborating on cures for ancient diseases, and artists creating works that celebrated the stars. It was a world where differences were not feared, but embraced. Back on the council homeworld, news of the delegation's visit spread quickly. Many were skeptical, but others began to see the possibility of change. Slowly, walls that had once divided species began to crumble. Conversations started in places that had once been silent. The galaxy was learning to dream again. But change was never easy. Old fears and doubts still lingered. Some questioned whether humanity's vision could survive the challenges ahead. Others worried about the cost of letting go of control. Yet even in uncertainty, hope grew. Ambassador Shira stood before the council one last time. Her voice was steady and clear. The galaxy has been given a choice: to hold on to the past or to embrace the future. Humanity has chosen the future. Now it is our turn. Her words echoed through the halls, stirring a new spirit among the members. As the stars watched silently, a new chapter began. Not just for Earth or humanity, but for all who called the galaxy home, a chapter of unity, growth, and endless possibility. The future was theirs to write.